It's time for Internet Explorers. It's time for Internet Explorers. It's time for Internet Explorers.
Oh. Good morning, episode 38, Internet Explorers here on Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're here to dive into... I guess it's just a moment to reflect on what the fuck has actually happened in crypto in the past week.
It was a busy one.
It was a busy one for a whole bunch of different reasons. But yeah, excited to be here with you all today. We're at live.seedclub.xyz. If you're joining us on Twitter, all 14 of you over there on Twitter, come on over, live.seedclub.xyz. We got the chat. We got cats in the chat. We got good mornings. Far more than the traditional GM happening in this chat right now. I've got a good mornington. I got a top of the morning. That was mine. So great show for you today. We got Mike from Gallery and Mochi. That makes way more sense. We're going to talk about his journey around building Gallery and this new consumer product they're rolling out. Then we also have Meta. Oh God, I'm going to be so bad with fucking names. I should know better. Sorry, love you. We'll get it correct. To talk about the new Uniswap extension. So the Uniswap wallet and extension. Kind of vibey. I like it. There's some great posts about L3 economics generally in crypto from Syndicate and then from the Terra folks. Shape L2.
We just got some chain. We got some chain stuff.
Are we talking chains today? Moonshot, Fly, Lightning Round, more chains than Lightning Round. Anyways, gonna be a great show. Very excited to dive in and get the latest with both Mike and Meta. We love bringing new things that are being built to you so you can discover them first here, or at least go a bit deeper into the thinking behind the thing that was built. And so I think we got both that today. Of course, I've run over. I haven't even said hello to you yet, Josh. I feel like I got to figure this shit out a little bit. How we doing?
Oh, good. You're flowing this morning. I'm good, man. I have like an all-time fucked up setup. I have about 8 board games that I'm using to prop things up in this main cottage I'm at, but that's how we do.
Oh, I love it. And Peace, how we doing? What's for lunch?
I'm doing good. It's like a child's dinner today. I have Annie's cheese fish and a peanut butter bar. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
cheddar
fish?
I
understand both of them. I just don't approve.
I don't understand cheddar fish, but
dude, come on, goldfish. As they're better known. I have the Whole Foods alternative for you granolas out there. Yes.
I was thinking like fish sticks or something.
You should see the sort of side chat Peace and I have going around as Peace is realizing he's becoming more conservative as he's growing older. Yeah, and it's like seriously messing with his identity here. And as somebody who's gone through that, specifically when I became a homeowner and then I became a NIMBY right away, I'm trying to talk Peace through it. So
it's very confusing. On the other hand, I'm having peanut butter and apples, so the childlike wonder going on still.
I love it. All right, well, we'll leave that whole debate around goldfish for another one. Yeah, we'll leave it for another time. Let's bring Mike up here. I have so many. It's been a while. Well, let's just bring Mike. Mike, you want to come hang out with us? Come hang out, Mike.
MIKEYBITCOIN. It's a great
Mikey
name.
Bitcoin and Gallery. What's up, brother? How you doing?
How's it going? Can you hear me? This is all good.
I love this. This is like the longest overdue. I think like maybe a year and a half ago we tried to do a podcast and it just didn't work out. And then we've been trying to get something together for the longest time. So I'm glad that you just decided to go build and launch a whole new thing as a pretext to come and join us here on Internet Explorers.
I have to say, it was a very graceful way. We ended that first attempt. Just to clear the air, we tried to do a podcast and I was just moving to a new apartment. I got like 3 hours of sleep, hopped on,
chaos.
and I was fumbling and bumbling and couldn't even say my own name right. And then Jess was like, let's just do this another time. I was like, thank you. And this is that other time, a year and a half later.
I might have that recording saved somewhere. So let's just wait for you to be super successful or do your next political run, and then we'll bring that out. Started from the bottom, now it's here. All right. So there's a bunch to get in to here, but you want to just do like the super brief introduction and then tell us about the insight that led to Gallery.
Yeah, super brief introduction. I'm Mike. I'm based in LA. Worked at Apple before this, worked on a music app. Got into NFTs/crypto in 2021. Felt like I saw the future, and I've always wanted to be a part of the future, so just dove straight in. Gallery was one of the first things that I started working on, just in that like I wanted to be a part of the movement, and there was I was not a trader, and I lost a lot of money building buying and selling NFTs. So it's like, why not actually make something useful, right? So Gallery was a platform to share your NFTs that you collected, right? So it was like a big art platform. I love the shirt. There you go. And you can still check it out today, gallery.so, where thousands of the biggest collectors of art still, there it is, still use it as their main way to say, hey, like, this is my favorite stuff. They curate their pieces. If you check out like funds like La Random or Curated or Squiggle DAO, they all have galleries that actually just show like all the things they own in a way that's presented as art. So that was a fun time. But obviously times have changed since 2021. We did that for a couple years, and then, face some harsh realities with consumer crypto after ups and downs and lefts and rights. And I think you guys
went from this gallery thing and into sort of like a social. You're trying to bring social features on top of that. And I know you guys ran at a few experiments there. I'm curious what the lessons from that were.
Many. So I think our ultimate vision was that NFTs were identity markers on the blockchain, right? It's like you share these things as a way to, you collect them as a way to share who you are, express a version of your identity, things that you like, things you do, show that you were there for certain things, right? And Gallery was sort of this like identity place where you could organize that, share it, and add context to who you are based off things you own. We felt like art was this like sort of like tip of the spear for a version of that. And we would have a social experience built around actually showing who you are in a way based off, skin in the game, things that you own versus just tweeting stuff. Well, the reality is that I don't know if people actually collect things to just share their identity. I think it turns out 99% of the people that said that they love to collect things and love art and love to support, people, well, they were checking the OpenSea floor price every day. They were, flipping stuff up and down. And the reason why they wouldn't want to share all this stuff is because they're actually in it to, turn something that is supposedly a community market into, a way to get rich, right? And that's not a bad thing. I think that's just a reflection of like what the space was. And I think we had an idealistic version of the future that is just a little bit early. So I think we learned a lot
on what Zora's doing, because I think they're really trying to push into that. They still have this big open question around like why collect, but I'm not sure if it's solved yet. But what's your take there?
I first have to give Zora a lot of props for pushing the space forward. I think their sort of invention, I give them credit for invention of like the cheap, free, like mints, right? Or not necessarily free, but cheap mints. And I think that really, that's like a step forward in what NFTs could and should be. I think what they're doing with the app is interesting and also very see a lot of same stuff we took with Gallery. Like we have a mobile app that's in the app store that is meant to be open and scrolled like Instagram, and you're supposed to, you know, like things and collect things, and you're supposed to like and collect art in a mobile format, right? So very similar to what Zora is doing. I just think the appetite from like, you know, Joe Schmo, like at your coffee shop, to actually do that is really, really tough. And also to get someone to open a new app is like the hardest thing in the world, right? I think that's just the ultimate crux of any consumer app. Whether you make it or not, is you give someone a reason to open your app on a daily level. If it's not a daily level, then you better be like Uber and be like an amazing like solution to a problem that they have. If it's not either of those, then I think you should just try something else. So those are the hard.
Do you guys think that, like, do you think you're just too early, or that there's just never really going to be a market for, I don't know, like digital on-chain art galleries that's like a mass market kind of social product?
It's a good question. I think in our situation, being early and wrong is kind of the same thing. So I'm not totally sure. I want to believe that that's a future that will exist, but you know, whether in the next 1 to 2 years, I wouldn't make that bet.
Okay, so you sort of really pushed it forward. Gallery as it sits today is this like wonderful tool that allows you to show off your NFTs. Simple utility, but very clear utility. And you mentioned, I think I have one, you know, definitely Squiggle DAO has one. I think C Club has done something with one. You know, we've definitely used this stuff. But I think a couple months ago, it sounds like you started working on something new. So why don't you help us think through that transition and then give us the pitch for the new thing?
Yeah. So we sort of looked at Gallery and said, okay, well, like where do we go from here, right? And I think there's a couple of big things that were we needed to change, and one of them was just the market size, right? It's like I think the ultimate equation that like consumer crypto startups that are venture backed have to solve for is like, how does this scale to like, you know, millions of people, or even 100,000 people, right? And the way to do that within just like a very siloed art market is was a tough sell, right? So we were like, okay, where can we point our sights to something bigger? And you know, honestly, MoshiCam was born from just like, let's just like fuck around, you know? It's like there's a few new things. I think crypto is driven by innovation, right? I think innovation is what pushes things forward, and we just want to be moving forward after spending like 2-3 years building something that was on the front cutting edge, you know, at one point in time. But now we've been trying to push towards, you know, mass market that isn't really there. So we start with a few constraints. How do we leverage an open social graph on Farcaster? How do we build on Base and use leverage a new L2 that didn't exist before? How do we use Coinbase's new smart wallet and see if that really is a breaking, you know, cutting edge UX? And then how do we, you know, I think Zora pushed forward this like cheap fees concept. And it's like, how do we take this like idea of cheap and like use it in a new use case, right? And Moshi was born from those constraints and saying like, well, if content's supposed to be on chain, one form of content that hasn't been on chain is just personal photos. You know, there's millions of photos being taken, I'm sure, from people in the space every single day. Like, what's a good way to get that on chain, right? And we just started the really fun experience where like we just got back from my co-founder Kaido's wedding, which is in Tokyo. It was amazing. He had Polaroid cameras there that he basically handed out to everyone for the guests just to take pictures of, and he left the wedding with like 300 Polaroids that he just like cherished, and it was like really nice memories. We're like, man, let's just take that simple concept. It kind of sticks. It feels good. Everyone knows what Polaroids are, and let's put those on chain, right? Simple as that, right? And we said, how do we build this in the fastest possible, cut scope, and built it in like 5. I think we started the week after FarCon, and we launched it June 17th. Actually, we were late by our target date by 1 day, so June 18th. So it was like a 6-week build, right? And we launched it out in the world, and it was amazing. I think Farcaster, we learned a lot, right? Farcaster is a great place to experiment and launch. They like Like if you try to launch a new product in Twitter, like, man, good luck. It's a war zone, right? Like just to get people's attention and actually like get people to care and like fighting the algorithm is like it's just, you're gonna bang your head and until you like your head falls off. But Farcaster, like the bar to actually get attention is so much lower. So like you're able to just get like launch an app and actually have it take over like really easily. So it was a perfect place to just like dip our toes and see like, does this even resonate? And I think a lot of things worked, a lot of things didn't. But the thing that got us most excited is that it feels like there's this latent desire, even outside of crypto, to just share photos and socialize. Like there's so many social media apps that are just like content and like it's like they kind of just want you to scroll and want you to like they want you to just consume, right? It's all attention based. Whereas for the first time, people were just sharing photos that like they would have never shared because Instagram's like got these weird norms now that like you don't want to share photos that are like weird or awkward. You don't look good, right? And like the Polaroid concept kind of like raises lowers the barrier to actually sharing something, and that is like a 2024 version of Instagram filters. So that was really, really exciting. I think we're now in the middle of planning what Moshi V2 looks like, because there's definitely something we're like basically taking, all right, what is the magic moment? How do we just cut everything but the magic moment and then scale that to the world, really?
Yeah, I'm curious how you're thinking about this strategically, right? Because you spent maybe years building gallery, market didn't really exist. You could probably say that you should have realized that faster, maybe not on the inside, but just guessing from the outside. I think you're kind of stepping into this pretty crowded market, right? Like there's like stepping into Zora's Azora use case potentially. I think last week we talked about perma, which is a new thing from the Future Primitive guys. It's kind of building on similar ideas. So I'm curious how you're kind of taking the lessons of like the market just not revealing itself in gallery to kind of and bringing that here. Like, are you putting after 2 months we want this number of users or this number of transactions, and if that's not happening, we're scrapping this and doing something else? So I'm just curious how you're kind of like contextualizing your approach here.
Yeah, that's a good question. The biggest thing about consumer crypto that we realized is that, so if you ask yourself like why we get so many like speculation apps or like trading card apps or like all these like pump.fun clones, right? I think one of our investors asked the best question ever. It's like, who's your customer, right? That's what drives every single product. It's like, who is your customer? That's a question to start with. And if you ask about crypto, who the customer is, you only have two choices: developers or traders. So it's like, all right, if you want to build like an app, like the reason Farcaster works in the way it does is they built a social network for developers. Like super big props to them. They built an amazing community. Dan and Varun are like, honestly, like more than just a product, they're great community builders. But then like every other app looks the way it does, and the ones that work right are just, they ultimately target degens or traders in some way. That personally doesn't excite me, and I feel like the way we actually grow and move forward as a space is actually, how do you bring in different prototypes of users, right? It's like, if you're going to build if you're like, take out crypto, right? If you're going to build app, like you're going to say like, what's this for? What are you going to build it for? It's like, you can build it for like runners, or like build it for people who like coffee, or like, right? And the only problem is that crypto has never been able to actually think about it that way, because the friction to get a wallet, to sign up, to actually get funds and actually do something in crypto was so high that you could only, as an app builder, you could only target people who already gone through the steps, and the people who've gone through that steps are the people that are devs or traders. But what we're super excited about is that we really wanted to work with Coinbase Smart Wallet as a potential opportunity to actually like build something where the friction to onboarding is realistic for someone who doesn't own crypto, right? So if you haven't used Coinbase Smart Wallet, I would recommend signing up for, I would try it on MoshiCam, because it's actually like, I'm so hyped about it, in that I think it gives app builders a chance. Like, you get a chance to actually onboard someone just on the street now, because they can sign up for an app without having to go through 3 different apps, be on the computer, go to Chrome, Google App Store and download Chrome extension for MetaMask, and then fund that with another on ramp, and then get your app, right? You're gonna lose like everyone doing that. But now you have a chance. There's a chance you can actually put something in someone's hands, and now you can actually just build the app that actually works. So I think what we see as the opportunity is like taking this moment and really continue to push forward instead of like this PvP environment of like, all right, how do we get the 100,000 active users, really 10,000 people that aren't just like purely like speculatively driven. Instead, like, how do we actually build an app that can eventually like grow the pie, right? Because I think that's what was great about 2021 is like the pie was growing. Like 2022, like we grew as a space as people came in. And this cycle, we need like, I think you just need the next thing that actually grows the pie instead of just thinking about it as like this app versus this app versus this app versus this app.
Speculation grew the pie, Mikey. Speculation grew the pie, baby. I mean, it's an interesting thing, right? Because you've just gone and said, well, hey, we're going to go build. Who's our people that we're building for? Those people aren't here yet, but we're going to go build for them. So how do you? Oh, I have so many more questions I want to get into, but we're at time with you here because we have just got too many good stuff, too many good things. Right. So I'm not going to ask that question right now. I'm going to drill into it next time we chat deeply, because I think it's this interesting one where there's this promise that I think we all agree with, right? Like this new user group that's going to come in, and they're going to be utility. They're going to be Chris Dixon's ideal users. They're going to be earning tokens and networks they use, great, etc. Not speculation driven. And then there's the speculators that are here right now. I don't know. Clearly, once that flips at some point, it's going to be a huge market for people to jump into. I think currently, I just believe that like creating new opportunities for more people to participate in crypto in the financial way, in a way that doesn't, maybe require them to like be all in TGen traders first, but they can start earning. So I love these apps that kind of allow you to go do things, and then like Azora, like Moshi, I think something that we're working with at C Club as well. This idea that you can come in and earn your first crypto and be on the inside here all of a sudden versus the outside. So I don't know, challenging thing to go do as we try to build for people who aren't here yet, but that I think we feel are inevitable at some point. Anyways, moshicam.xyz. What do we got here?
Moshi.cam.
Moshi.cam. Even better. Yeah. Moshi.cam. Even if it is just to play around with the Coinbase smart wallet, it's definitely worthwhile. Like there's this shift in user experience. There's a shift in how we're going to be engaging with this stuff. It's still not fully figured out yet, but making big strides in the right direction from a usability standpoint. So thanks for hanging out with us today, Mikey. This went so much better than last time. I think very key not to do interviews after moving and 3 hours of sleep, because let me tell you, very different Mikey we get on the end of 240 minutes of sleep.
Okay, well,
all right, go give
Moshi
Cam a try, kick around. We got a V2 coming out at some point in the future. You might as well be early to it.
That's right. All right, thanks, guys.
Mikey Bitcoin on the Twitters. I don't even know where you are on Warpcast, but he's around. Go find him.
Just Mikey. Yeah. All right,
brother.
Ciao for now.
Yeah, I think that was my first Coinbase wallet, smart wallet experience, like in an actual product. And
I had the dev account, but it's
pretty nice. Actually, I was thinking about like onboarding UX yesterday and tweeted that I think the ideal flow is that you sign up and you get like free credits or like play money to go try the thing before you have
100%.
to.
Because people are starting on this sort of like they're starting on this like, how do I get cash? How do I turn fiat into crypto? And MoonPay is 2 minutes and 45 seconds. It's like, well, fuck, come on, like you've already lost.
It's also just like such a like high intent experience to just like deposit money somewhere without experiencing the product. And I think we all just have play money here at this point. So forget about how much of a barrier to entry even
100%
walking around with $100 felt like back like the first time you onboarded into this.
Well, I mean, it like Uniswap airdrop equals a whole bunch of free money and a whole bunch of people's accounts and DeFi summer, all these sort of things are precursors to like the bull markets are going to come beyond it. So interesting. All right. Well, there's another new release this week. It's the Uniswap Labs extensions to the Uniswap wallet, and Peace loves it.
I'm obsessed. They're the best brand in crypto.
Wow. Even better than Etherscan?
It's slightly different. Etherscan is cooler for a different reason. Sorry, Uniswap, but Etherscan is willing to be ugly, so that is like 10x cool points.
All right, well, let's bring up our next guest so we can dive into what it's like to bring a new product like this to market for the best brand in crypto.
Hi, you guys are too kind.
Oh, to be clear, it was P saying that. I did not say that. So just to be super clear.
Yeah, I'm
a more of an Etherscan guy. But...
Nice.
Welcome. Very excited to have you on today. We're all very excited to have you on, but Peace has been gushing over this for the last little while, and so excited to sort of understand what has gone into this. What are some of the broader sort of strategic pieces to it? And I think Peace has some nerdy design questions for you. So I'm going to throw it over to Peace here because he's been infatuated, and maybe Josh and I will jump in as we get inspired.
Yeah, I mean, first maybe it would be good to let you introduce yourself. I don't want to say your name wrong. It's Medha or Meta or
you try.
I'll try anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to introduce myself. I'm Meta. I also go by Meta, so either is fine. I guess a quick background on me. I'm approaching my 8th year in crypto now. I started off my career as an engineer, and then I became a crypto VC. So I was investing in early stage crypto startups. And then I went on to join Uniswap, and now I lead product for all of our wallets. So we have like an iOS wallet, we have an Android wallet, and as of this week, we launched our browser extension, as you guys know.
Super cool. Yeah, and I think like the big thing that excites me is every time I go to Uniswap, I see new updates pushed on the design front anyway. Seeing the way that you guys carved out the sidebar, really modeled, like the extension is so modeled after the sidebar on the product anyway, and seeing that kind of transform into an extension as you guys get closer and closer to end users from the protocol to the app level. I'm just super curious to hear the perspective on what the opportunity is that you're going after. Like, why are we making uni screen names? Why are we downloading Uniswap?
Yeah, totally. I guess the way I think about it is like, okay, as you all know, the Uniswap protocol started off as a set of smart contracts or like a decentralized protocol that allowed for AMMs. And this protocol was launched like 5 years ago now. And what's crazy is that when we did some data analysis internally, we found that 80% of new wallets visit Uniswap on their first day in crypto. Like, to me, that number is just like absolutely crazy. And it makes me feel like we have so much responsibility. Like, we need to make sure that these newer wallets and addresses have like the best experience in crypto possible. And crypto is just so complex. And so this first experience can really make or break their decision to stay in this space and continue using different dApps. And so I would say that's a part of why we have such a laser focus on UI. And what we found when we were thinking about like the protocol is that we realized that people were interacting with our web interface with a totally different set of products. Like, they were using different wallets, different UIs. Some people were interacting with the protocol without using, like the Uniswap Labs interface, etc. And so I think the beauty of us building full stack and kind of like also tackling the wallet layer is that we get the entire UX that we're striving for. And because, like I said, at Uniswap Labs, we care so much about a user experience using our products, the only way to have like fine-tuned, like full control over the entire end-to-end experience is by building all of these products. And what's cool now is that you can see these products start to like interface with each other. So one really cool feature I like about the extension we just launched is that if you have our mobile app already and have like a seed phrase on it, etc., you can like very easily onboard onto the extension by just like scanning this QR code, and it's super secure. It's done completely like in, just like one scan. And I think that's just one small feature, but I think as time goes on, you'll see like we really want to start like interfacing all of our 3 front end products together. And that's something you can only do if you like control all of these UIs.
As a user, that small feature was so impactful from just having the mobile app to being like, cool, easy. I'll download the Chrome extension and I don't have to dig up my little black book or whatever.
Oh my God, I'm so glad. No, I agree. I feel like, especially for me as someone who's like testing around with so many different tester wallets or whatever, like having to like copy and paste seed phrases or like type them out from your like actual cold storage things. It's just like so annoying. This makes it so much easier.
What about the usernames? That's the intriguing thing to me here.
Yeah, usernames is super cool too. So I think what's really exciting about them is one, they're super cheap. I think sometimes like, I have Meta.eth and I'm very proud of having that ENS, but it was really expensive and I got it years ago. Now with the price of ETH, like it's even more expensive. And so Uni.eth provides a way to get those like on-chain identities in a much cheaper way. And what's cool is that, like I was saying, as we start to build more and more in like the consumer realm within Uniswap, we want to start having interesting interactions between all of our products. And this uni.eth username kind of has this like on-chain identity that's like locked in through all of your different Uniswap products. And so I think in the future we could do really cool things around them. Like you can like follow different wallets. You can like use this as your username for like, a chat like this live stream I think is really cool because you can see people's ENS names and things like that. But you can do also like other things like in the future, I'd love to be able to like maybe follow you guys and see like what transactions you're doing on chain and things like that. And we'd be able to like surface that really easily with like human readable names. So I would say that's like one foray into all of that stuff. And I think seeing the demand for usernames, for me at least, really convinced me that Uniswap needs to continue to dominate like consumer products. I was just really surprised at how many usernames were claimed on day one and even now. And I think, yeah, it makes me feel like our users are super excited about stuff like that.
I'm sure there's also a hope that there is a speculative game to be played there. But
no comment.
No comment. I'm curious. Honestly, my big question is why did it take you guys so long to do this? Like, this seems like a very obvious thing, right? MetaMask has kind of dominated the like wallet as extension market, had driving a ton of transactions and revenue through that product. So I'm curious, like, why did it take you guys so long, and what was the thing that finally got you over the line to prioritize this internally?
Totally. I think that's a great question. I think, well, in the beginning, it's like, you have to prioritize as a company. And so the protocol obviously has taken like years to be developed in the way that it's at. Like we're at V3 now, V4 is being worked on, etc. And then the next iteration of that was like the web interface to be able to use the Uniswap Labs product. And I think Uniswap Labs has always been a sort of like standard maker when it comes to UIs. So like our swap UI was so simple yet so groundbreaking because it made it so easy to interact with our smart contracts. And now I would say that design pattern is kind of a standard across the space to visualize swapping between two assets or two networks, etc. And so similarly, I'd be curious to see if like the space decides that this side panel sort of UI for our Chrome extension is kind of the way we want to visualize wallets. But that sort of design thinking takes a long, long time. And it takes time to be innovative. It takes time to also like understand like what we want to keep the same, what we want to change about wallets. And so I think part of it is that. I think part of it is also the space at large. I think consumer crypto kind of took off with like the NFT wave in like 2021, 2022. So that was not too long ago. And so I think even just in my time in crypto, I've noticed like the conversations have continued to move up the stack. So when I started, people were still talking about consensus algorithms, right? We were still debating proof of work, proof of stake, different types of proof of stake, etc. But now nobody even talks about that. Like we're barely even talking about block space. Like almost all block space is going to be fungible now. And so as
we have a Monday morning block space meeting, just so you know, because we just want to keep it strong. But yeah, most people probably not. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like more and more as crypto moves up the stacks and our users get more like, they don't have to start worrying about all of these like under the hood details, the space can also move up the stack. And you're kind of seeing that with Uniswap as a company as well.
I mean, Uniswap's a big, I think the honest answer is Uniswap's a big company now. You guys don't do things fast anymore, and doing things fast brings a ton of risk to a ton of people. And so
You
I think
know,
what's
I
interesting
would
here is
push back on that. Like I used to think that. Like I remember when
how
I
long has
was
V4
thinking
taken?
That's fair, but
Okay,
I
that's
think
good.
when I was thinking about joining, like I took a very, very long time to decide, like be really intentional about when I left venture and joined another startup. I was like really worried about joining a really large bureaucratic company because I was so used to working at small places. But I realized like Uniswap Labs is actually really small. It's like around 100 people. And I feel like for the amount of volume that we do, that's like pretty small and pretty crazy. And our front end teams are even smaller. Like our wallet team is like 10 to 15 people max. And we're managing like 2 or 3 different surfaces. So I would say like we're still much more startup-y than you'd think.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, it is crazy to think that's 5 years old. That to me, there's sort of like a world in crypto before Uniswap, before AMMs, and then after, right? And everything that we are doing right now, everything that we do at Seed Club was enabled by AMMs, right? The idea that there can be a market for the long tail. Long tail can grow into something much bigger. So stoked on that. And I think the theme that we've just been seeing over the last couple of weeks that people should just really, sit with is just how much the experience, both on the developer side and on the user side, has improved. And, I think it's easy to be in the water here and a part of it. But if you think about 6 months ago or a year ago, and we do that often through our cohorts, and we just think, okay, what's the difference between SEO6 and what we could do and build then versus where we are today? And it's meaningful. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. So
100%.
Appreciate you jumping on and jamming with us today. You can go give the Uniswap browser extension a try. It's worthwhile because they are trying to introduce a new UX pattern, and I think it's compelling. The sidebar is super compelling. So go give that a shot. Appreciate you jumping on here, and it's good to see you again. And is there anything else you want to shout out before you jump off?
No, yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. The only thing I'd shout out is please use it and please give me feedback. My DMs are open. We're trying to build with the community, so any feature requests are, highly taken into account. Thanks, y'all.
Should it work on Arc? I tried this morning to get it.
It does not currently work on Arc because they don't support the side panel thing. So go tell Arc to support side panel.
I'm pretty sure like 80% of our team uses Arc, and it's shocking to me that you got through the pre-screening process here if your app doesn't work on Arc. It usually doesn't happen. So we'll talk to you later.
Peace is a long-time Arc user. I'm surprised. You flipped to Chrome to use this piece?
100%. Yeah, I pulled Chrome into my flow, but I would, if you got to Safari, I would leave them all and go to Safari.
I would too.
Okay, that's good to know. That is a great feature request.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Why do things take so long? So I think this is really interesting, actually, right? Because okay, it's not a huge company, it's not a small company. Things take longer when you're not a tiny company versus a big. Cool. I think what's more interesting is you think about the urgency of building something like that, and that urgency isn't high because they have this beast of a protocol that is just sort of horizontally integrating across the market, and they don't need to go be first to any of this sort of stuff. They just need to use their powerful position to start to direct people to their products, right? And so really, to me, that makes me think that they're actually trying to compete with a Coinbase more than they're trying to compete with anybody else. So
I mean, the riskiest thing that they could have done was release this too early. People use it, say it's shit, and just never give the Uniswap extension another go.
Coinbase and Uniswap are in a similar position here, right? Where they have the capital resources to continue to invest in it. Maybe they're a little bit slower, but when they can just direct an immense amount of attention to these apps. And I'm not sure that's like a good thing generally. If we think about just like horizontal integration and like dominant brands and et cetera, like it's probably good that we have some competition there. But if the internet and digital business teaches us anything, it's likely to be closer to winner take all than anything else. Maybe not in this case. Winner take all is a little aggressive, but can be a dominant brand for sure.
Yeah, it's a fat protocol for sure. I actually meant to look up. We should fucking jump into this. I intentionally loaded it up a little heavier today too because I didn't. Last week we had some empty space. So all right, let's get into the L3 economics. So Syndicate. Yeah, they dropped a report outlining the current economics of L3s, which I think candidly don't look great. non-existent. I think kind of the biggest thing that they kind of bubbled up was that L3s generally struggle to break even unless they either hit 50 million per month transaction volumes, which is what Base does. I think Arbitrum even does less. Or if they keep fees within 3x of L2s, which kind of takes away from a huge like value prop of them. So really they just kind of laid that out, outlined a bunch of kind of future looking business models that they're excited to buy about L3s, some kind of technical changes that they think they could make to kind of improve this and blah, blah, blah. But I think really like the most interesting thing for me reading this was kind of reflecting on how much they were positioning this as like a technical play. They're like, oh, the reason to launch an L3 is for scale or for fees or for blah, blah, blah. And I think like the way that we really see this and talk about this is much more for like the on the social kind of cultural community side.
Yeah, I've been struggling with this, trying to make sense of it in my head for the longest time. I think there's one piece additional to that, is that there's sort of like this. I think Syndicate sees an opportunity to like decentralize the sequencers and actually give a lot more of that control back to projects. And so the idea that they're trying to get at is that you have more. They're setting up a problem for their solution, I think, which is that you have more control over the sequencer if you're able to decentralize it. But I'm not sure that changes the underlying piece here, right? Like you can set fees, you can sort of subsidize or tax or whatever. But I think the core issue maybe is that, like we don't need a ton of L2s and we don't need a ton of L3s that look like L2s, and that likely this will be driven by a scalability thing for the vast majority of folks. And I guess I have an open question in my mind as to whether or not an L3 is actually a good tool to capture the social and economic value that's around it. I go back and forth quite a bit.
No, I agree. I mean, I think for me, like I almost, the L3 opportunity as I see it makes more sense almost as like through like a premium or like a luxury chain kind of framing than it does as like a low cost kind of hyper commoditized environment, right? Like I would go, looking at Sanko, we had Smoothie on, or maybe DGen's, let's use Sanko. Like presumably me as a community member being really happy that there's this distinct sense of place. There's a place for me to like try to bring people to show them this world that I'm so passionate about. There's a thing for me to like try to attract people to come to build for this scene that I'm a part of. And I would probably just pay more money to play in my like Sanko world than I would. I
think my question is like an L3 the right network type to?
Sure. Yeah.
Because it comes with a large cost, right? So large cost, you're paying $3-5 grand a month, whatever, something like that. Meaningful, not immense, but meaningful. And then I think the riskier part with these L3s is that the market is trained to look at TVL, transaction volume, what's being built on these things to generate value or to assume value in some way. And I just think that's like very much the wrong way to measure what you're talking about, or even to measure the value of a DGen or a Sanko. So TBD around that. I'm curious if there's something simpler, like the idea of being able to show my support, to be able to earn and to be able to advocate or point people or invite people to something doesn't necessarily, like L3 feels like a little bit of a messy mechanism to get at the core there. I don't know. Maybe it's the right thing.
Beyond that, this is like crazy to me, where this all love here to motion by Nick, but it's like the future of gaming where every shot is on chain.
Oh, this is a meme. This is a joke.
Okay. That's thank God, man. I can't take it.
So when I saw Nick's,
is craziness.
Seeing Nick's tweet, I was like, this is so obviously a meme and a joke. But the way that they include it in the article, I was like,
it positions it really weird. Yeah.
I agree.
Oh,
okay. My blood pressure is it's easing. It's easing.
These three next like this topic and the next three are
these three are like very related. So let's jump to bit.
Can we jump to shape first and then Barrick?
Let's go shape. I
feel like that's kind of interesting. But what the heck is this? I've seen it pop up, but I don't know.
I mean, I think that's like largely my point. Is that kind of going from, so it was, spending a bunch of time kind of playing around the Vera ecosystem, listen to Smokey on a podcast. I think we're going to hopefully get him on here at some point in the near future. And just like captivated by how like the like social infrastructure and social innovations that they're running at here and kind of putting forward as the reason to come build here, and how attractive that is proving to be for, consumer builders wanting to tap into this like specific Bera type of guy audience that they've aggregated, and then kind of bumping into Shape tomorrow or yesterday when I was kind of scrolling Twitter, and it just being this kind of generically branded, generically worded chain, and just being like, this is just so.
My cash back though.
Is this legal?
Yeah, but so you read that, and then I open up a Dune dashboard and I go look at like Zora sequencer fee revenue. They're doing 4 million transactions a month, and they're making like less than 5 ETH, and that's going to be distributed across like hundreds of thousands of contracts. Like that's actually not in any way a value prop. Or like,
well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it draws against the core value prop of these L2s, right? Because the L2s are making the bet that they will be able to be a meaningful sort of economic flow coming through them, and they'll be able to take sequencer fees. So I think there's like an industry-wide bet that sequencer fees will be valuable in some way, in the same way that there was a bet that ETH block space was going to be valuable in some way. Yeah. But I agree, it's definitely not there now. And then there's also not like, this isn't in a vacuum, right? It's not like there isn't a bunch of other chains that you go launch this stuff on. So it probably puts more of an onus on needing to like stand out. I found the whole like cashback framing kind of, I mean, weird, interesting. I think I had the same issue with like just like sequencer revenue probably isn't that compelling just yet. This kind of feels like a public goods network type thing, but take out public goods and put creators on it. Honestly, I think like Enjoy is in a better position to go do this than Shape is. Totally. I don't even know what their funding is, even if they're got $50 million in, right? Like there's like 100 people who care about that right now, and that's like the hardest thing. I think there's very notable names around this. It came out of left field for me as well, but
yeah, no, I'm sure. Like we know nothing about this, so this is just reading a tweet,
bullshitting,
reacting to the branding about it. But I think it's an important point, and I think like increasingly I'm just becoming a like opinionated brand maxi or something where
make me feel something.
Well, I mean, if I don't feel like it's just so easy to dismiss everything, especially another chain. If this isn't just like screaming some weird message for some focused group of people that is valuable to some builders, then it's just going to.
So which NFT community buys Shape? So Penguins bought.
There you go.
Hilarious. What did they buy? Was that a Frame? Penguins bought Frame. So Shape will be bought. Black and white is really limiting here.
Well, yeah, from the creative perspective, it's hilarious.
Checks. Like, it looks like a perfect checks alignment.
They're going after like Zora's domain here with the same brand shape, except they're choosing to go all flat when Zora shows you a lustrous dimension sphere with light in all different shades in how many wallets?
Okay, so they are counter positioning.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
Peace, can you pull up my Twitter for a sec? I just tweeted this thing right before that I think is like kind of highlights my reaction here, or what I think like chains need to be running at. Not that. That's
that's what
I'm dealing with
right now.
This is what I'm dealing with right now. Look at that rig. Monopoly, we got some trouble. Clue. I'm in Maine. I'm in a basement of a Maine cottage right now. Had to get away from the noise. Okay, the one under that.
Here we go. Okay.
I think just like had this very, seeing Puffpaw, which is like vape to earn project, talking to Refo, looking at it, I'm looking at Berachain. It's just like I had this experience where I was just like, this is just so obviously a Berachain project and it's going to do really well there. Sorry, Siri's talking to me.
Josh loves
totally shut down.
Can you hear Siri come?
No, but I can tell in your face because you just get this like, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
But it's like it's not many chains that you can really that have that strong sense of identity where you can say like this project is just clearly a fit for this thing, and I think it's such a
leading ones do, right?
Yeah,
like
the leading ones do.
The leading ones do. Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
You could look at Pump and you'd be like, that's such a good, that is a Solana project. There's a handful of projects that's like a, mass market consumer professional product that makes a ton of sense on base. But I think we just see so many coming out that just focus on these tech, like they focus on speed or they focus on scalability and just have they're not speaking to anybody outside of builders, but they're kind of doing it in this vacuum of community or any like retail energy. And that's just such a hard place to be.
I mean, what I do love about it though, right, is it is, Blast is like, hey, we know that if we can become a general purpose L2, ton of value to be had there. How do we go do it? Well, it's gonna be a knife fight. So let's just go at it with the best go-to-market sort of stance we possibly can have. So we're gonna get points, we're gonna get gold, we're gonna do all this sort of stuff. But really what it's about is trying to like invest some of the future value of that network into the growth of the network from day one. And I think that's the trend here, right? It's like this idea of rewarding people for being early users, maybe a lot more, in different ways beyond just the airdrop meta. But here's one where it's sort of, the Blast meta is around utility usage and some sort of general award. We have optimism doing something, right? So I think these are, I would just put it into that bucket, but it gets undermined right away when I go, well, there's just no fees. And they don't even talk about a token. Don't even talk about
it. I mean,
this in comparison to, right, so we're talking about incentives that drive value. Blast is about attention. It looks like flat circle. What's it called?
Shape. Yeah.
That's okay. Shape. That's a flat circle. Shape.
Time is a flat circle.
Okay, well, you just fucking threw me off. Anyways, now I'm staring at time. But right, so they're saying, okay, well, we're going to use future incentives of the cash flows coming to this network to reward you. Okay, well, but Bear has it's a much more complex, but it's a far more elegant mechanism. It's trying to get at something like that. So
yeah, in many ways, the Bear mechanism seems like a productized or like sustainable version of what Blast has done, just as this like kickoff incentives program. So anyways, I think just the way Blast or Bear is just going after, all their energy is just focused on attracting consumer builders, and the thing that they want is they want capital, which I think their mechanism promises in many ways. And if you go King Make Bear, you're gonna get rewarded for it. And they have a ton of people that are really pumped about this world they're building and are ready to click whatever comes through. So
yeah, I think for builders here, if you haven't dove into the Bear docs to understand the 2 token model they have, the sort of liquidity incentive they have, etc.
3 tokens.
3 tokens?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the stable coin. So definitely worth doing, and not something we have time to dive into today. But the Fat Bear thesis is good. I think like the screenshot from Smokey in there is probably the best example of it. It's just a really great summary. So we'll drop that chat. Or if you're not subscribed to Josh's newsletter yet, to get all these links afterwards,
it's in there.
Get on it. How do people just subscribe to that?
Just go to my Twitter, Josh CRNLS. It's linked there.
Okay, yeah.
But it's better than some like paragraph link /
True. Yeah, we gotta get you a domain or something.
True.
Peace. What the fuck are you doing on chain?
That is such a good question.
What the fuck is Peace doing on chain?
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm stealing memes again and putting them on chain. I'm coming in hot after Coinbase and their new marketing campaign, which was totally awesome, creative, really nice work. But I decided to mint. I wanted to monetize Mr. Miggles with theft by putting it on Blast. Because I think that minting your work is like super valuable. I think that block space shouldn't be precious and creators should take up as much of it as they possibly can. But I think that telling creators that putting your work on chain will prevent other people from monetizing on your creative or IP is as damaging as the royalties narrative was in 2021. And I think it's irresponsible for a company like Coinbase to put their reputation on the line and suggest that that is what minting on Base will do. So whatever. That's my soapbox. Thanks for letting me have it.
It's got political today.
Yeah. I know. So I'm all fired up. Anyway, in other news, I'm mining Bitcoin 2. That's right. The Bitcoin 2 narrative from earlier this spring.
Bitcoin
Or
L2?
no, baby. Bitcoin
Okay.
V2. There's only 21 million. I actually know very little about this, but
Not 42 million if we've like what are we
But
talking about
it's
here?
time to mine.
right. I guess that would make it 42 million. So yeah, it's time to mine. You can come here and if you go,
You're mining Bitcoin 2 on Solana?
that's right. So it's called or.supply.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And yeah, this was kicking around like last spring, and I guess they just launched this V2, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come here and do it. But I don't know, it's kind of fun.
What happened with V1? Or
There was
they fucked something up with V1, right?
There's some mechanism issue with it, or some people
Yeah.
were gaming it and they shut it down
Classic.
and then relaunched. Yeah.
Mechanism
There
designers.
you go.
There'll always be another mechanism. Anyway, yeah, dude. Exactly. So I don't know, it's fun. I can press play and pause on my mining. I've got my little multiplier. It starts at 1. I've only been going for a couple hours, but my multiplier is growing.
I love this idea of like bringing back like the old school crypto primitives and just very like bring back mining, but in modern UX, bring back staking, but in modern, like some of the basic things that got people stoked on this stuff, but bring it back under modern UX, I think is very interesting.
Totally. And, this is, yeah, like, well, there's a million things. We don't have to go into a full design crit here, but I thought it was fun. They made me feel like a power user, and I love when these apps do that. So that's what I'm up to.
Piece's hard is to make him feel like a power user.
It's true.
Give him a couple shortcuts.
No kidding. Yeah. Shift Command U, sidebar, and transact. That's the Uniswap shortcut. They did the same thing. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yep.
Love it. Mining and minting. I'm not sure I have as strong an opinion on that statement as you do, Piece, around it protecting people.
I mean, it is funny that was their message, and then they put a very memeable cat in there, knowing that there was just going to be meme coins created from anonymous people, and their like prophecy was just going to be fulfilled.
Except,
or their anti-prophecy.
Yeah, it's like the anti-prophecy. That's
their anti-prophecy. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Like, look at all this Mr. Miggles action. That,
of course.
Yeah. I don't know. Good for them.
Mr. Miggles on Blast is the type of Mr. Miggles that I want. So,
dude,
send me that.
I had never used Blast before. Thankfully, I didn't have to do any bridging because Zora has Reservoir and Decent all wired up, so you can cross-chain Mint to Blast with the press of a button.
What a world! What a world we live in today. All right, there's a couple other quick products to jump into here. Moonshot.
Yeah. Let's jump to Moonshot. So Moonshot was announced yesterday, a new like Robin Hood for meme coins that launched, built on Solana. I think it's just like, we've seen this pitch a bunch time.
Isn't this a deck screener app though? Like, what isn't that called Moonshot?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It is. This is different. I'm sure they just got front run by deck screener or something. But I think Hype. I think Ravi's built Hype. I think it's built on Base, so Base focused meme.
What's this Ravi's thing?
No, it's not. But he's been in market for a while with like a Robin Hood for meme coins. This is another Robin Hood for meme coins, and I think like logically it makes the opportunity make so much sense, right? It's like meme coins are clearly this new like internet attention asset that has a ton of demand. It's not going anywhere. The experience is janky as fuck still for people to find and buy them. So let's just make that convenient, be the first one to like bring this clean product to market, and giddy up, we win. But it just like it feels like you lose so much in these products. Like when I open them, they just completely fall flat for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because I'm too deep or we're too deep. And I don't necessarily ever expect, your average person to get this deep, but I also feel like it needs like these things need to be discovered in like the social and like cultural context that they matter. I think what Pump.Fun did so well is they just like they brought the trenches with them into the product, this like discovery social. I feel like I'm finding something new that most people aren't seeing. It's just like it's such a core part of that game that when you're waiting for these things to be curated on some app and it's like designed beautifully and it's sterile as hell, I don't know, it just completely
it feels like PDFs as newspapers, right? Like newspapers as PDF. It's like an obvious thing, but far from the best use or whatever the tech can enable. And because I think what you're experiencing is this sort of like massive integration of different information sources and feeds and context, and the actual buying of the thing because you're in, not a huge deal. For somebody else who's not in, maybe, but there's also this entirety of sort of the entertainment complex and network that emerges around it that if you're not a part of, you're probably going to lose. So it does come back to that conversation we had with Mikey earlier, and a number of other teams, is just like, who's the user for this? And if it's like a brand new person who's just going to come in and mint and punt meme coins, kind of a tough category for you to justify, to direct, to access, to etc. And so I think you start to see a lot of these going back into the pros, and then you're kind of in a pretty murky space as well. So I just don't know if you're ever really able to compete with the trenches as you described it, as far as like the information sources and accessibility and speed to market and listing and all this sort of stuff. So
you're not. And
then Robinhood is probably going to be the Robinhood of crypto, like
also that. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I do think, I don't think your average person, if they get into meme coins, is going to use Telegram trading bots. So maybe a thing like this is kind of the more consumer friendly version of that, where like all your like discovery and kind of social experience happens, in the places it does today, and then you go there to trade. I don't know.
It's interesting thinking about the internet, right? So 20 years before the news feed comes out, and you really have like so it's like Google search and then the news feed and sort of the omniscient data provider of Facebook. Those are the two killer use case or business models of the internet to date, really. And that's 20 some odd years into the development of it. And so likely that's the same thing here, right? Where you have a bunch of hobbyists, which are us, using these things early. People are going to start to mash these things together. There will be some fundamental innovation as far as that, like UX or new technology or whatever, that allows for dominant players to kind of aggregate that attention and be the dominant player. And you have a MetaMask, and you have a Coinbase, and you have a Uniswap, and you have all these guys that are going after the exact same market from different angles. So super interesting. I think the other one that I did want to touch on is Fly, because it's kind of going after similar challenging markets. Fly is the token and sort of the restaurant loyalty token. If you're in New York, you know about it. If you're not anywhere else, you probably just heard people talk about it. But I think the initial way people were describing it is you kind of go check in, earn points, rock and roll. Maybe these tokens will be liquid in the future. What I think most people missed was like really the core business that they're driving here is actually more of like a vertical SaaS product, right? It's a payment product. It's a point of sales tools. And how do you go get into a new market that's dominated by other vertical SaaS players? Well, you actually bring consumers along, and consumers pull that demand in, et cetera. So it's really, really smart. But I think it's finally like closing the loop on, Fly comes up quite often as people pitch us or say, oh, we're going to do something like Fly. But often what they're missing is what comes next, which is what's like the compelling business here. And Fly is stepping into payments and point of sale, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if just based on the way that they're branding Fly and have this branded Blackbird product, if they actually have greater ambitions than just being the Toast or whatever, the like restaurant vertical SaaS product. Because you could see, I think before he was at Resi and Eater, like my guess is that he's going after this like restaurant network ecosystem. And my hope is that I think the Fly integration right now is kind of like whatever. My hope is that Fly kind of unlocks some interesting novel use cases kind of within that. So we'll see.
Watching this one closely, because doing that transition and the model they have out is going to be fascinating to see. And I agree. I think like, again, my point is more that there is like a business model.
There's a business here that they're running
behind it, right? Whether that's a network or that's sort of point of sale. I think those things are actually incredible. Like I think what Toast would love to have is a restaurant network that they can monetize in some way, right?
Exactly. It was actually funny looking at, if you click piece that top tweet, just seeing the like token people in there looking for token things, and then just being like, scroll down. There's just a lot of was it on this?
What chain is this on?
No, I think there's been a bunch of people that have been kind of like farming or mining this token.
Gotcha.
Oh, we've heard of stories of people paying for college kids' lunch every day of the week.
Awesome.
So they can go and collect points.
Oh, because I think it was here. Yeah, right here. Just a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, for the OGs.
Like, when does this token moon is the thing they're asking. And
Hold on,
you know,
let me read this one. Go scroll up a little bit more. Is that
I wish the ticker's so good. I wish it could moon.
supported the platform for almost a year. It's very important that Blackbird does the right thing for OGs. We'd appreciate it if Blackbird could reach out to active users through an event at the appropriate time so OGs are not left in the lurch. I literally just said your fly is liquid. I appreciate that. But to be honest, as an early user, I'm not sure if your dream of flies being liquid at a penny.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
fun.
love his bio. If you abuse the terms and conditions of Blackbird, I'm gonna jack that fly. That in bio is
Ben's
it's
funny
awesome.
guy.
Yeah, this guy rocks.
Can you give me a little taste of the lightning round so I feel like complete and we can let these folks go on with their day? Who are
Let's
you?
do it.
166 people still hanging out with us right now. Gibberish.
I thought this was interesting. I haven't jumped into this at all. Just kind of saw it come across the feed and had it as a potential topic, but I didn't have a chance to actually look at it. But again, just like the power of token rewards. Basically, there's this new fiat-backed stablecoin, but using token incentives to kind of bootstrap, usage of it and the network around it. And I think in a few weeks got to like $100 million in TVL. So this is more of just like a bookmark to look more into.
Yeah, we can look at
Okay,
it.
one more. Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole like conversation of basically someone being like, "Hey, build a frame," and then like no one uses your frame. You're like, "Well, what the hell, man?"
This is people talking past each other, really, right? Like Adam, it's always good for some spicy takes. Frame Pet trying to be the.
I like him. Yeah, I don't know him at all, but I like him.
Me neither. I think we've been trying to get intros. Somebody knows him. Let's bring him on. He's got good takes. But I think it's he's making the point that give me a business case here for going over, and just because I put it in a frame doesn't make it much better. And I think even like the Polymarket announcement today, where they've rolled out a frame, like I get it. It's both amazing in that you have this sort of open social graph that you can run applications within, and it's still very nascent, and also the user experience is still pretty lame, right? Like I'm not going to go and it's very unlikely I'm going to go make a bet on Polymarket by just typing in $100 and clicking and doing that through Farcaster today. But again, I think if you're just thinking about that being the end state, you're missing the huge unlock that can happen here. So I just think they're talking past each other.
Many such cases.
But I do think it's point of saying like, so Mike was saying, hey, great place to go launch a new product. I think Adam's post here, Farcaster has early adopters who don't use products long term unless it's for the infra. And right now, it's an echo chamber of one thinking, one opinions. Frames are good. Whatever.
I think that's the challenge, right? It's like it's an easy place to go get. Like everyone there is very willing to go click buttons, but if they're not, the person who wants to go play a Tamagotchi like game every day for a long period of time, then who cares, right? I actually saw people talk about product hunt as just this kind of like pure vanity metric, make me feel good kind of place to go launch products for that exact same reason.
Yeah,
it's like
fair.
You got to just go. You got to know who you're building for, and you got to go where they are.
I thought that changed. I thought we've had new insight here where you can just. Wow, well, that's news to me.
You can just spray tokens and hope some of them show up,
and we will do both.
And we will do that.
I don't know. We don't spray and pray tokens, but all right, we're well over time here. Josh, peace, and to our guests, thank you for those of you hanging out with us today. We're back here Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure new and interesting stuff will happen there. Pay attention to Josh's newsletter, to the C Club newsletter. We have a fun drop that we're working on that you'll be first to know about if you follow that. We're going to bring you to a whole new network, back to mother, back to the beginning, back to where it all started with a whole new vibe. You're going to get to come along with us. So that's all I'll say about that today. So that's cclub.xyz if you want to drop on the newsletter, or just follow Josh and get on his so you get all the links from today. Also want to flag that Liquid Culture continues to put out exceptional podcasts. So if you're not subscribed to Liquid Culture from Ben and Nat, you're missing out there. They've got a bunch of amazing interviews that are coming out over the next few weeks. And I think that's it. Do I have anything else I need to shill? Oh, FWB Fest is coming up pretty soon. We'll be there for most of the week. So stoked to see you there. Get your tickets if you haven't done it. They put on a great event. And then just want to wish Ryan Selkis well. Seems like he's having a difficult time on the internet today. I wish him
Big time.
peace and happiness and joy as people deal with the emotions of the world that we are in today. So have a golf-filled weekend. That's my deepest wish for you, is that you get to go play golf all weekend. Do with that as you wish. We're back here next Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you on chain.
Internet Explorers.